Hey guys, so today I am going to make a Yandere quiz because in my recent live stream it was all about love, relationship, advice from a Yandere, and I got so many questions on how can I get a Yandere girlfriend or how can I become a Yandere myself. So I think there's a big misunderstanding here because I don't think you want to become a Yandere because that's quite unhealthy. We'll dig into that further on in the video, but it really includes some questionable behavior. Um, so with this quiz, you can find out if you have some Yandere qualities or not. All the information I've gathered in this video is from the Japanese internet. I think that it is quite accurate. So let me know in the comments below if you've answered yes or no to most of the questions, or if you have any opinion on these quiz questions. And I personally am also going to answer the questions while doing the quiz, so everybody can see how yandere I am. I'm not sure myself, so let's start, I guess. Ooh, first of all, you want to know everything about their private life. This is because you're obsessed with the person you're in love with, you have a crush on, girlfriend or boyfriend. And this lack of information causes such an anxiety that you basically have to go as far as intruding their privacy, like looking at their phone or checking where they go, sticking a GPS system onto them. And what a yandere really makes a yandere is that they don't feel guilty for it. They think they just have to do it. Personally, I think that wanting to know a lot of things about your, you know, love one, girlfriend, boyfriend, crush, whatever, is a pretty normal thing, but going that far is a little bit unhealthy for you, yourself, and the other person as well. I can just imagine what kind of stress it would cause. I don't really think that this applies to me because I think that the other person is an individual themselves, and just like you don't want to have, everything about you known and constantly being observed, which I could just imagine causes incredible anxiety. I wouldn't do that to other people. Generally, I wouldn't do things to other people I wouldn't want to do. I wouldn't want to have done by myself. So, yeah, treat others like you want to be treated. Yeah. Kind of what I have to say. Next, you're constantly thinking about the other person with no exception, which stems from the obsession we've talked about before. You think about how you can make them happy, what they're doing right now, memories with them together, because all the time you spend is basically on the other person, for a yandere. And this comes from a place of insecurity. You just strongly need their love and approval. What I can say is that, yeah, obviously, if you are in love with someone, you want their love and approval as well, but I think that it's important to understand that two people don't stick together. They're like two individuals with their own lives, loving each other. And for a yandere, this just becomes an obsession. Yeah, so I'd say that it's that yanderes just have a really unhealthy image of love, which stems from insecurity and emotional instability. which I've experienced myself before, but fortunately, I have not fallen in love during that time, or else I've turned out a yandere. So this does not exactly apply to me. When I do fall in love, I do think a lot about the other person, but it doesn't consume my entire brain. Next, you sacrifice your own time and interests in order to make the other person happy, which literally stems from the obsession. I think yanderes are literally made out of obsession and insecurity and emotional instability. Sounds like I'm totally dissing yanderes, but it's not as fun being with a yandere as you think it is. It's not the type of obsession you want. I think a lot of people who want a yandere girlfriend just want to be loved very deeply because they haven't experienced that kind of love before. I too would like to have a yandere boyfriend, but I think it would end ugly. So basically, yanderes sacrifice their own time and interest in order to make their person happy, because that's literally the only thing that's going on inside their head. So when all they think is about the other person, everything they do is also going to be about the other person. It's just that thoughts translate into actions, so this completely makes sense. Next, as we've seen in anime TV shows and other media, yanderes usually do pretty questionable things. However, in real life, yanderes are generally nice towards everyone, a little too nice. So generally, you're always too nice to everyone. However, here comes the flip side. This stems also from the want of love and approval caused by insecurity, but the flip side is that when they're with the other person, they feel more comfortable showing other sides of themselves and being more vulnerable and emotional. And since they're emotionally unstable, this can escalate pretty quickly. So a yandere might be really nice at times, which is why it's called a dere, which means being sweet and kind of cutesy and nice. But in the end, they're yandere, and yanderu means feeling ill, feeling sick. So basically, they project all these negative emotions towards the person they're most comfortable with emotionally, while they're nice towards everyone else, so no one would suspect that your girl next door could be a yandere. Also, another important point is that exactly this gap that the other person experiences makes it very hard for them to end the relationship, because they experience a nice girl or guy, and then they experience the horror, and it just causes a high and a low kind of feeling. Like there are highs and lows, which is similar. It's a similar experience, which can be compared to what you feel like when you have an addiction, or you develop an addiction. So you literally get addicted to them because of the high and the lows, because of the rush, and then because of total misery, and then they get you out with being all nice and doing all kinds of stuff for you. So in the end, yanderes are pretty popular because of that, and it's hard to break up with them. Personally, I don't do that because, well, in some way I do it, but it's kind of a little bit the other way around. When I'm with other people, I try to act as mature as possible, and when I'm alone with the person that I like, I start to act like a baby. Like, I just want to be taken care of and babied all the time. Like, not like weird kind of way, like not in a putting diapers on kind of way, but more like I just want to be taken care of and, being called cute and stuff. Next, yanderes get jealous very easily. This is because they are, of course, insecure and do not have a stable sense of self. Personally, I could relate to this when I was younger, but now I feel like I'm my own person, and I don't know, if someone, you know, if the other person talks to some other girl, I don't really think that that's a problem, because just well, it's not a big deal. Just have to have self-confidence and be aware that you're number one and you're literally the cutest. So there's no jealousy you need to feel, but yandere feels jealous very easily, which leads them to do questionable actions. Okay, we go on to the next one. Your life is basically centered around your love, and I think this is because they think so much about the other person that they cannot stand themselves. They hate themselves if they do not make an effort to get closer or make the other person happy. Because yandere's only focus is the other person, to the point that they don't take care of themselves. It's just the other person. They sacrifice their times and their hobbies, and it's just the other person that counts. So the relationship is number one in a yandere's life. I think that's very unhealthy, and that for a relationship to go well, for your love to go well, you just need to, both people need to have their own life, their own hobbies, and be able to have fun by themselves and have a life of their own, or else it's just boring. You write long text messages. This is because yanderes just are really, as I said before, they just have this emotional instability and can't keep their emotions under control, which is why they do questionable things without thinking. And because they feel so hard, they just need to let the other person know how they feel, and this usually ends up in a long text message. And apparently yanderes are aware that that the messages they write are too long, but they can't hold themselves back because they just must let them know how they feel. It's like a compulsive thought. So if you write long text messages, that's danger sign. No, just kidding. But yeah, that's one aspect of a yandere. I personally don't like writing long text messages. It's actually the opposite. I sometimes just leave them on read, because I'm too lethargic to even answer. Yeah, so this doesn't really apply to me. Next one. But I love to get a long text message from someone. That'd be nice though. Okay, next one. Anyone who disturbs your relationship deserves revenge. So you might think, oh yeah, that's typically yandere. But the seed of all of this is that normal people, I don't know. I don't even know what normal people are anymore. But usually when some girl just annoys you or hits on your boyfriend or whatever, then you're like, you still confident enough that you know that you're number one, and you just know that this girl is a But and yeah, you just push her away and ignore her, and it's over, and the happy days continue. However, Yandere is so obsessed with the other person that obviously insecure that they cannot just push the other person away and be like, who cares? They have to be like, I'm gonna get revenge and destroy the other person. I just want to see the world burn. It's very Yandere behavior. I personally do get jealous. I would get really jealous, but I wouldn't seek revenge because that causes even more trouble. Revenge is not such a good idea. It causes even more trouble. Bad karma. Next one. If your love doesn't love you as much as you do, you become upset. Yeah, because the others are insecure and but basically, because a Yandere is obsessed, so obsessed with you, and they're insecure, they want to make sure that you love them as much as they love you, and they go to extreme lengths and do questionable actions in order to confirm that. I think that explains a lot of the Yandere behavior, that they don't make sure, if they don't ask you every hour if you love them, or write you long ass text messages, then they get really anxious and their mental state just worsens. So that is very Yandere-like. Personally, now from a Venus point of view, I think that love is not measurable and every person has a different kind of love. It's not, love is not material. It's a difficult subject. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. It's a difficult subject. It's a difficult subject. Okay. But basically, for me, love is not just words, but actions. And then I judge the actions on, then I judge the actions and not just believe the words. Or having a bad gut feeling is also a red flag. Or, you just have red flags and you just keep watching out and don't act emotionally regarding things. So if your love doesn't love you as much as you do and you become upset about that, then I would advise a Yandere to think more rationally, which is probably difficult for them to do because they are Yandere. Okay, let's just go to the next one. Let's see what we have. So this is it. This is actually the last one, but you feel the need to constantly be together. This obviously stems from the obsession, and it also means that, obsession means that you basically want to own the other person. So it's not just two people with their own lives being in love with each other, but a Yandere literally wants to own the emotions and the entire life of the other person. And they just want to be in full control and know what the other person is doing, when and what and how. That's why the long text messages, that's why they always think about the other person, how they can make them happy, what they could do. And the best way to assure that is that you need to be constantly together and you take any measures in order to do that. For example, questionable actions or revenge towards other women or any other person who gets in the way of your relationship. That's how obsessed a Yandere is. While looking nice to other people, but being a little bit acting a little bit, not entirely safe towards the other person. So yeah. So how many of them did apply to you? Let me know in the comments below. And I really look forward to see how many Yandere subscribers I have. If I do have a lot of Yandere subscribers, I'm in danger, Shako. But yeah, I guess I used to be pretty yandere before, but now that luckily I've matured, I'm not that insane anymore. But I still think that, well, I guess calling a yandere insane is not a really nice thing to say. It's a unique trait. It's nice to love the other person more than anyone else, even if that kind of love is called obsession. I mean, if as long as a yandere doesn't actually hurt anyone, I guess it's fine. You can be a yandere as long as you don't hurt anyone. So let's all be friendly yanderes together. Alright, that was my yandere quiz. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe. Woo! So yeah, see you in my next video. And I always love recommendations on what I should do next. Love that. So make sure to comment on what you'd like to see next. Yeah, see you soon. Bye bye boo. Love you. In a non-creepy way. Not gonna stalk you. Don't worry. Okay. Choo choo.